So, hello everyone, and welcome to the brand new episode of the Trusted Practice Podcast, the show where we sit down with visionary practitioners, healers, and innovators who are shaping the future of health and wellness. Today's guest is someone who truly embodies the blend of ancient healing and modern innovation. She is the founder of Empire Wellness Center, a California based wellness hub, and the creator of the groundbreaking HypnoPuncture Method, combining acupuncture with hypnotherapy to help patients address the root of both physical and emotional challenges. She's a business owner, podcast host, educator, and thought leader in the integrative medicine space. I'm thrilled to welcome Sharleen Lawrence to the podcast. Hi, Sharleen. How are
Hi,
you?
Hasan. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
A pleasure. It's always a pleasure. So, Sharleen, I'm going to go straight to the point. What's the story behind how you got into this world of integrative wellness and acupuncture?
Yeah, it was definitely not a something that I thought I would do from a young age. I was just following the traditional path that we typically have here in the US where, you go to school, then you go to college and get a degree and maybe considered a normal field of study.
Yeah.
And I was on that path. My bachelor's degree is in accounting and information systems. So I did have a short career where I was programming accounting databases and business intelligence software. But in the middle of all that, in the middle of college, I found
Yeah.
traditional Chinese medicine. I was very disenchanted with my regular studies, I guess. And I wanted to become a massage therapist because I wanted to help people heal their bodies. And I thought there were two ways to do that. I thought you could do massage or you could be an MD. And I faint when blood is around, so I knew I couldn't do the MD route.
Yeah.
And my sister, who was studying the ancient practice of qigong, which, if the listeners aren't quite familiar, it's the
Yeah.
mother of Tai Chi. So most people are familiar with Tai Chi, but qigong preceded that in history. And she introduced me to a man that was kind of in her Qigong world, and he was going to teach a Japanese style massage class that was based on traditional Chinese medicine. And he himself was an acupuncturist. He still is an acupuncturist. And he started teaching us just the absolute basic common ideas in TCM. And it made so much sense to me to really look at the whole person and not just think about the liver or the kidneys,
Yeah.
but to look at how all of it integrates together. And so that's when I realized that that's what I wanted to do. And I chose to complete my bachelor's degree. I'm really grateful I decided to do that. I'm grateful to my sister because I was going to drop out of school and she said, "Well, why don't you
Yeah.
finish school?"
Yeah.
Um, so I'm grateful to her for encouraging me to do that. And it took a few years, but finally I got the courage up to move away from home and go to grad school to get my master's in traditional Oriental medicine. And then later I went on to do my doctorate in traditional Chinese medicine, and it's been a wild ride ever since.
It's amazing, Sharleen. It's really amazing. Uh, I just had one question. It just out of curiosity, or let's say for the audience, most of the audience, they will not know before the Google search what's basically Qi. You mentioned about
Hmm.
Tai Chi. I'm asking what is Qi actually itself? Yeah.
Yeah, so qi is defined in a couple of ways, and it's one of those words that doesn't have a good English translation. We
Yeah.
don't have a good way in modern language to
Yes.
translate it. But it's very similar, like people in the yogi world who practice yoga and they're familiar with prana. So prana and chi are pretty much equivalent to one another. And if that doesn't fully define it for our English speakers, then chi is really life force is how we call it, but that includes air, food,
Okay.
being able to move our bodies and stuff. And so we say the chi flows in the blood. So you have to have proper blood flow to have proper chi flow, which means
Yes.
moving your body. And then we breathe air, and that itself is chi. And then when we eat food and transform that into energy, that is also chi. So I like to think of it for kind of our Western science-minded people out there, maybe the Western medicine folks, going through that Krebs cycle and turning food into ATP, the adenosine triphosphate. To me, that is what chi is in the body, but it's a much more beautiful way to say it in the Chinese language, or even, talking about prana as the breath. I think that's way more beautiful than talking about ATP.
Yes, you're right. But it's a real like new thing I just know today in my life. I didn't even know what's chi is actually and what's Tai Chi, and it's
Mhm.
related to how you breathe, what food you're eating. So it's really the very core of your body. That's what I'm thinking.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. And
Yeah.
coming back to qigong,
Yeah.
tai chi, I don't know exactly what the translation is for that, but qigong is basically energy cultivation. So it's a way to not just move and regulate the energy or the life force in the body, but you can even cultivate it. If you have too little, you can do specific practices to boost your chi and gain more energy and more vitality in life.
I see. It's really interesting, Charlene. I'll definitely gonna do some more research on it because it's talking about the core of human physics or how
Mhm.
like it's really a new thing. I in the modern medicine, traditional medicine, I never heard about this. There is anything exist as chi. I am
Mhm.
listening to this word for the very first time, and most of our audience probably they're going to do the same thing. So
Yes.
it's really interesting, Charlene. So uh, Charlene, I want to know a bit more in depth about you since it's a bit interesting that you were previously in a corporate life. I mean, transitioning
Mhm.
from corporate and analytical work to
Mhm.
healing work is a big leap. I think it's a big leap. What gave you the courage to do it? Uh, is it your sister's motto, or what was the uh, main focus behind it? You transitioned completely from corporate life to like healing with wellness, or like you know. So what was behind it, Charlene? What gave you the courage?
So honestly, the courage came from a breakup. I was living in my hometown. I was with my high school sweetheart. We had been together for many years, and he it just got to the point I don't want to put blame on him because the relationship was over and he's just the one who said the words, but we broke up, and I honestly wanted it was kind of revenge for me to move away because I had stayed behind in my hometown and put off my education in traditional Chinese medicine because I was staying behind for him. And he told me he wanted to break up because he was holding me back. And so, honestly, what gave me the courage was to say, I'm going to show him, I'm going to show him that I can move away from home and go to school and I can follow my dream. And as time has gone on, it's just following my dream. And I'm actually really grateful for the heartache that I went through to catalyze me towards doing what I love to do.
See, it's sad, but it's both a good thing that we found you in this uh this particular field, because most of the people, yes, they don't even know what what acupuncturist does. Even in the Western psychology, I have seen a lot of the people, they're saying that it's a false methodology of treatment. So do you want to say something to those audience, Sherlyn? Does
Yeah.
acupuncture, yeah, or yeah, just say something to
So,
them. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So there's definitely still um a stigma around acupuncture and even the Chinese herbal medicine and stuff like that, that it's maybe a placebo effect or something like that. And I have a few ways that I like to describe, especially how acupuncture impacts the body, or not how, but that it is effective. And one of the ways is if it is the placebo effect is still in effect. And even
Absolutely,
with
indeed. Absolutely.
pharmaceutical medication, many of the drugs that come out on the market, the drug had about a 75% impact on the trial subjects, whereas the placebo had a 74% impact. So
Really? Yeah.
even worst case scenario, if it's placebo effect, if somebody's getting better, I don't care how. Our minds, and this is why I created the hypnopuncture method, because our minds are so incredibly powerful that if it is the placebo effect, then however the patient is getting better, I don't care what the cause
Yeah.
was. I just want them to be better. And then I also like to think in terms of, I call it, and I learned this from a colleague, so it's not
Yeah.
my term, but I've adopted his term, the silver fox effect. And Chinese medicine has stood the test of time for thousands of years, and it's like my favorite silver fox from, the big screen is Harrison Ford, and it's like he was an attractive man when he was in Star Wars all those decades ago, and I still think he's an attractive man now. And so he could still get like the young hot girls to follow after him because he's stood the test of time and he's aged well. And traditional Chinese medicine has done that. If it was failing people, then it wouldn't still be around. And the last thing that really sold me a long time ago is that, especially here in the US and in the major kind of metropolitan areas, if you go to a veterinary clinic for animals, you're most likely going to find a veterinary acupuncturist. And so this part to me like takes the belief component out of it, and it takes the placebo effect out of it, because a dog or a cat has no idea that the acupuncture is being done. As far as I know, they have no belief system in place to believe that it's going to work. Yet these animals see great improvement. And even a lot of zoos employ acupuncturists for these large animals, and it helps with all sorts of pains. It can help regulate digestion. And so, to me, when I first heard somebody describe it that way, that's when I was completely sold that this has to be impacting people in a positive way, because it helps the animals who have no belief system as far as I'm aware. So,
That's
yeah.
it's amazing. It's really amazing, Charlotte. Like how you end up right here. It's really amazing. I mean, even I personally never. It's not about my belief. It's most of the people, maybe they're just like these. They want to go with modern medicine and they don't even want to think of these uh, herbal remedies or Chinese
Mhm.
remedies. Yeah, like it's so. Charlene, can you share a story where you saw a major breakthrough in a patient's life, in your patient's life? Just please share
Mm.
a very short story with us, please.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Um,
I just want to know. That's why I'm asking. Just
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I mean, there are many. I also want to share with your audience. I'm sure many of your audience out there have experienced this. I am coming out of burnout
yeah.
from
Sure.
running my business. So I feel like I might be a
Okay.
little jaded in some ways at the moment. But
All right.
one that really popped into mind, I have two stories. One's strictly about acupuncture and one is strictly about hypnopuncture. And so the acupuncture one is really these
Yeah.
this gal that I've been working with for about a year and a half on, she was trying to get pregnant and she had a lot of like PCOS type presentation, and she had seen many doctors, and they all told her, you're borderline, you're borderline. So she wasn't in a position that doing regular medications for the PCOS could be prescribed because she was on the border. And then she didn't want to go like the IVF route. So she wanted to do it naturally. And I had worked with her for quite a long time, and it took longer than we had originally anticipated. But it was just so exciting and heartwarming that time that she came into the office and told me she was pregnant. And then the funny thing is, she got pregnant right away. Actually, after having her first child, she kind of unexpectedly got pregnant again, maybe about 9 or 10 months later, and wasn't quite prepared for it. But it was just great to see how over that stretch of time, her body did regulate and she was able to get pregnant again. And then probably the most mind-blowing treatment I had with a patient was with a hypnopuncture patient. And a young man came in and um, he was a very successful entrepreneur. He ran about 3 businesses at the time, I believe. And he was just so busy. And to be able to stay up all hours of the night, he ended up starting out using prescription medications like Adderall. And then that led to an addiction and him kind of switching to using methamphetamines. And he was recommended by his mother to come see me. And I can only help people who want to be helped. And so in that first session, I remember sitting down with him and asking what he wanted to get out of his hypnopuncture session. And there are great points for like acupuncture points that are really, really great at detoxifying the body. And they're great for people who are trying to come off of, addictive
Yep.
substances and whatnot. And they even use this stuff at Walter Reed in the military. And anyway, I was talking with this gentleman, and multiple times during his session, he told me that he wasn't a drug addict and he just liked to use it periodically and all of these things.
Yeah.
And you know, the the world would disagree with him. And he had had a significant episode just days before he came to see me where his heart stopped a couple of times. He had to be revived. They had to do the injection of epinephrine directly into his heart. I mean, it was a major, major deal. And so he wasn't ready to try to tackle the addiction. So during his hypnopuncture session, we just worked on him envisioning the life that he wanted, which included him getting his daughter back. His daughter had been taken out of his custody and he wanted her back in his life. And so we really just focused on that. And I booked him to come back the next day. And he walked in for that second session and told me that he did have a drug problem and that he was going to quit and enrolled himself into a rehab facility. And he went on to really clean up his life and just get his daughter back and just do great things. And so that was that was absolutely the most mind-blowing shift that I had ever seen anybody make was, simply by envisioning the life that he wanted. During that, he realized that the drug use wasn't going to help him achieve the life he wanted.
Absolutely. It's also inspiring me, Charlene, to be very honest. And it's really a life-changing story, just as you shared. I uh I have also like kind of similar story. I had that, but
Hmm.
right now completely recovered. But I can relate to that. And it's really amazing your work, the way you are helping people. I personally am so proud of you, Charlene. I, as
Oh,
a host,
thank you.
obviously. My pleasure. So, I'm going to shift right now in this part of the podcast about your mindset, leadership, and growth. So, uh, how do you personally stay grounded and aligned
Mm.
as you grow your business, Shirley?
So, like I said, I've reached that point of burnout in my practice, and I'm actually at a very pivotal point because I'm in the process of
Yeah.
shutting my practice down. I'll be, I don't know when this is going to air, but I have about 1 month left from the time that you and I are talking. And that's been a very bittersweet experience because I've grown to have a deep connection with many of my patients. And so leaving them is very, very difficult and sad. And at the same time, I'm really looking forward to the future. And what I've spent the last year and a half doing is actually shifting to an online group model. So I am using not acupuncture, but I'm using herbal medicine, breath work, qigong, and these types of modalities, and even acupressure. I'm at least teaching people where some points are and they can put pressure on it. Um, and doing that with my online program and then allowing them group access to chat with me and ask questions and share wins. And so I've been doing that for about a year and a half now, and that's really starting um, to really
Yeah.
take off and working. I particularly work with women with Hashimoto's in that
Yeah.
space, the thyroid condition. But I've had some people with Graves' disease. I've had some people with significant digestive disorders. Really, anything autoimmune can get benefit from the work that we do in the program. And um, just really shifting into that space. I do love the hands-on work, so I'm sure I will open up a clinic again at some point. It's just going to be on a much lower capacity because the time spent and the hours that I took to grow my practice to what it has become today took a lot out of me, where my online presence now is it's so scalable and there's so little I have to do at the time. There was a lot that I had to do up front, but now it's so little effort from me. And so I get to, like you said, stay grounded. I get to go for hikes. I walk my dogs about 2 to 4 times a day. I live in a beautiful place where I just get to spend time in nature and travel and go on vacations. So that's really what's grounding me at this point. While I was building my practice, it was a lot of meditation.
Yeah, it was tough time for you, just you yourself, like doing all these. So,
Mhm.
uh, you are completely turning your business towards internet. If I get
Yes.
that, so as a practitioner, Charlene, what role do you believe trust and visibility play in growing a modern wellness brand through internet?
Oh, yeah. I mean, visibility is
Yeah.
so important. And trust me, I was early on in my practice, like I just wanted to sit on my couch and wait for people to come to me, and that's not how business works. And so um,
Yeah.
I I have an opportunity. I'm in a space where I get to help kind of co-mentor a lot of colleagues. And, I might raise my hand and say, I don't want to go on video today. And then else will say the same thing the next day. And it's really just all about getting your face and your voice out there. And that doesn't have to necessarily be video. If you're a great writer, start a blog, whatever that is. And then learning to build trust, that may be even more important, honestly, than the visibility, in my opinion, just because there's so much noise out there. And even the most well-meaning doctors who know so much about their particular field or their particular specialty still get it wrong a lot, because I've moved so much away from this reductionist type thinking where and I did it. I did the functional medicine thing early in my career where you're recommending 18 supplements to each patient, and it certainly makes a lot of money, but nobody was taking the supplements I was recommending because it was too much.
Yeah.
And so instead of like MD specialists, where you might just be working with an endocrinologist or you might just be working with a nephrologist, well, let's look at the whole person and stop reducing them down to a tiny organ or organ system. And so now just going for the whole body approach, like I said, even with these very well-meaning doctors out there, if they're doing the reductionist model, it's still not enough.
Yes,
That's what I found.
I see. Yes, you're right, Sharleen. You're right with that. I mean, most of the doctors, yes, even if they have the good information inside of them, uh, some of them, even I should say most of them, like I know some of the plastic surgeons personally, they're really camera shy, and it's not about camera shy. I mean, how you can create videos. Yes, in at the end of the day, it's not about videos, but I think video can give you that much exposure, what you really need, and people will come to your channels or whatever it is, your
Mhm.
social medias, to see
Mhm.
who you are, your work, and if they find the video, uh, it's a kind of like what I believe video can help at least your clients or your patients to
Mhm.
spend time with you before they would even go to your chamber. So they will start
Mhm.
watching your video, and trust and visibility builds from there. So that's what I believe. So yes, you're right,
Yeah.
Charlene. Like in these days, even traditional doctors have at least some sort of online presence to get
Yeah.
consistent client and patients to help them. So I we're almost there at the end point of the podcast. I know how time can fly, Charlene, with you.
Yeah.
It was really amazing time with you. So let me go over a few more questions and
Mhm.
it's gonna be done from there. So uh, what's your it's my question, really my question, not sure about the audience, but they will like it obviously. What's your personal content strategy like? I mean, how do you
Mhm.
share your message with the world? Most of the time, is it with video or the article writing? How do you present yourself each day, or is it each day you post? I mean, what's your theory, Charlene?
So my strategy isn't a ton of a strategy at the moment. Um, I do prefer video only because I have conditioned myself over several years now to get comfortable being on video. Gosh, probably like over 5 years is how long it's taken me.
Yeah.
Um, since I launched my podcast originally. And so video is better for me, and I just do better speaking. I'm not as great of a writer as some people I know. I know some people who are spectacular writers, and they might do like a short video or B-roll or something, like take a picture of a butterfly and then
Yeah.
type out a really nice caption underneath. I have really been doing great with TikTok, I've noticed. And um, my my analytics,
Yep.
still coming from an analytical background, my analytics on TikTok have really been pretty spectacular, which I've had for only a couple months now. So I think that's a great platform because it is a search engine and people can actually search for kind of the words you're saying.
Yep.
And my strategy is when my energy is up, which is most of the time, I try to post at least every other day, if not
Yeah.
every day. But I really am not a big fan of this like post 3 times a day thing unless you have great content that you can fill. But I think once a
Yep.
day with a useful tip or something like that is really helpful.
That's great. I mean, Charlene, so it's not about the video all the time, which you rely with. Yes. So, and indeed, I'm gonna say that you're a very good speaker, Charlene, and not just a speaker. Like, I really like to, like, what I should say. The time flies away so fast with you. So that's what reminds me how good you were as a speaker, and obviously as a friend. Maybe friendship is also help your patients, obviously, whenever they come to you, the way you talk. it's also going to heal them. That's what I believe. If
Hmm.
doctor can be friendly
Yeah.
with the patients, the half of the disease can go. That's what I
Ye-
believe.
Absolutely. Connection is a huge part of it. And I would like to offer some advice to your audience if they are
Absolutely. Yep.
feeling uncomfortable with trying to do video or even just recording their voice and maybe putting that over an image or something like that. What I do, what I find is most helpful for me is I imagine one of my favorite patients and I just imagine talking like I'm talking to that person, that the other side of the camera is that patient that I just love spending time with and chatting with. And it really helps me to just feel comfortable, like I'm not talking to a screen or a device.
That's great. It's almost like it matches our sponsor. I should not say this, but let me just say it in just a minute that that's what we do in our mother company, which is Authority Rank. We go to these professionals and we do take interviews of 30 minutes, just like I'm doing with you.
Mhm.
So it's going to be very much specific questions, specific answers, and then we cut them into shorts, the clips, because in these
Yep.
days, shorts are booming throughout the
Yes.
entire internet. So, and the way we do it, just like friendly conversation. So the
Yep.
doctors or whoever it is, whoever professionals, they don't even know that they're in front of camera. No scripting, nothing. They can be just with us, and you're gonna ask the question. That's it. After
Mhm.
that, you're gonna cut the clips and post it for them. So that's what we do in Authority
Yeah.
Rank, the company, the mother company who is sponsoring this podcast. So yes, Sherlyn, you're right with that. That yes, just and also it's gonna help them a lot. Like thinking about a patient's success story and the patient is in front
Yes.
of them. If you imagine that, it's going to be very much easier to talk in front of the camera. Yes, absolutely.
Mhm.
So from my side, Charlene, a very last question, advisory question, you can say. What would you tell practitioners who want to heal others, Charlene, but haven't learned to fully trust themselves yet? The young practitioners. What will be your advice for them?
Mm. Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
You really, truly do know so much from your education and your training that experience will bring that trust in yourself that you know what you're doing. So trust that the education was enough to get you started at least.
That's great advice, Charlene. Very short to the point. Really like it. So, I want to ask you one more question. Just it's about this is not the question I usually ask, but it's been has been asked to so many. I've seen so many podcast hosts ask this. So from that, I'm copying them entirely, indeed. So it's about you. If your younger self could see you now, what do you think she would say?
Hmm. Hmm.
A bit weird question, I know it.
Yeah. Um, I think she'd be really proud, and I think she'd be really surprised at the direction that life took. Um, it's not what I originally started out to do. I thought I was going to be the big CEO of this multidisciplinary clinic. And I started working towards that. I started building that. And it was during that time that I realized I really love that deep connection I have with patients, that one-on-one interaction that I get with them. And it was then that I had to like really change tactics and keep my clinic smaller on the smaller scale instead of be some big business owner type person. I wanted that deeper connection with my patients.
Absolutely, absolutely. As you said, Charlene, connection is entirely everything, everything. And I can even say I went to so many doctors, obviously, in my life. To be very honest, sometimes for my mom and sometimes for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the doctors, I I never faced that. They talk to their patients that much, which I personally feel they should, because
Mm-hmm.
it's just like they're gonna know what's your disease, just write the prescription, one or two sentences, exchanging, that's it. But it's about the real conversation. That's what I believe, and
Yeah.
that's what bring me to find out the best of the best acupuncturist in the wellness industry, like to make them appear in our show. So it was a real pleasure, Sharleen, to have you. To be very honest, I don't have anything to say, but it's just really an inspiring conversation with you. And what I love most is how you're not just like practicing healing, you're like innovating. I think you're leading and showing other practitioners what possible, and what you blend ancient wisdom and like modern strategy. So like it's really amazing, Sherlyn. And I
Well,
really
thank you.
do you want to say anything to our audience? It's a very
Um,
podcast, so I'm just asking you.
Yes, I thank you, Hasan. That is very kind of you to say. I really just want to say, like, I am where I am because I've had the chance to stand on the shoulders of giants and all the people who have done so much and come before me. And I've had great mentors over the years, and I continue to have great mentors. And that's
Yeah.
that's really how I got to where I am. So if somebody's new, go get yourself a mentor.
Yes, go get yourself a mentor. Yes, it's a real good quote, to be very honest, if they're new. So
Mhm.
thank you for joining us today, Charlene.
All
I'm
right.
so sad to say that time flies away that much faster. Oh my God, how fast it is with you. But from the deepest part of my heart, thank you for joining us today. And Charlene, thank you for sharing your story. We can't wait to see what's next in your journey, to be very honest.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Hasan.
My pleasure. So just hang on with me. I'm going to stop